I'm new to this church, but the first time I came here, Reverend Ron spoke about social justice with love, and that's why I came back. When I was a child, I suffered a trauma that broke my willingness to risk my heart to love. And I've fought tooth and nail to love again the way I did before that experience, to return to love. And I've come a long way. It's been a hard battle to allow myself to be that vulnerable again. And now, because I'm invested in a conscious way in reclaiming my heart, I'm coming to know both the roots and the wings of love. It's down in the dirty part and its incredible transcendence. The event that broke me was the murder of my childhood best friend. We were like best friend soulmates, if there is such a thing. Her name was Susan Brady. And she was kidnapped just a few days before Christmas in 1965. And she was where she was because we'd had a fight. She was here one day and gone the next, and I felt responsible. She was missing for 2 months when they found her body. Parts of it were found in an incinerator in a man's backyard. And blood was found on a hatchet in his garage. It's been so many years, and I just want to say, there are times when I tell this story and I can just tell it without emotion. Not without emotion, I always have some emotion. But then there are other times when I tell it and it really touches a place, and I think I don't know all the factors that go into why I cry at times or why I get choked up, but I think one of them is that it has to do with the hearts of the people that are in the room. So for that, I want to say thank you. And for anybody who might be worried, please don't. This is a good thing. When I saw her mother again, I remember thinking, oh, wow, this is how it is when you really love somebody and then someone steals them or hurts them. Your pain is as big as your love. And I learned that day that you cannot say yes to love without agreeing to the possibility of grief. And it was kind of a big awareness for a little girl of 11 to have. But I had it. And just because I had it didn't mean I knew what to do with it. So in the quiet of my own room, after that whole event, seeing her mother that day, the conclusion that I came to was that I am never going to love anybody again as much as I loved her. Like, that is dangerous territory. And I repeated it like a mantra, day in and day out, until the armor around my heart was as solid as a fireproof safe. And now I want to say this is like kind of a big story of mythic proportions. It's a kidnapping of a child, a kidnapping at Christmas. It happened just a few days before Christmas. 2 months of searching, the search for the killer, the finding of the killer, the murder weapon, how she was killed. And it's understandable that the trauma of this would compel me to place an armor around my heart, but I can tell you after all these years that we all do this in small ways every single day. Someone betrays us and we apply a layer of protection around our heart to try and diminish the pain, and another layer to protect it from ever happening again. Someone rejects us, we apply another layer. We hurt someone we love and we can't face the truth of that, another layer. And for some who go to war, pick up a gun and kill another human being, another layer. We eat our feelings. We take drugs to bury our feelings. We drink to forget our feelings. And we keep applying these layers of armor like coats of paint on a 100-year-old home until something happens. And we wake up and decide we don't want to live like that anymore. Stephen Levine speaks about this process in his poem, Half-Life. We walk through half our life as if it were a fever dream, barely touching the ground. Our eyes half open, our heart half closed, not half knowing who we are. We watch the ghost of us drift from room to room, through friends and lovers, never quite as real as advertised. Not saying half we mean or meaning half we say, we dream ourselves from birth to birth, seeking some true self, until the fever breaks. And the heart cannot abide a moment longer as the rest of us awakens, summoned from the dream, not half caring for anything but love. When that fever breaks, we make an aspiration to love with all our heart for the rest of our lives. And this is when the real work begins. Because the moment we make that commitment, the moment we truly aspire to love, love commits itself to us and becomes the teaching companion that never leaves our side. Well, in truth, it's always been there, and it always will be there. But when we make that aspiration, we become aware of it. And it is always teaching us moment by moment. And the trick to hearing it is to be in the moment, right? To be here, to be present, to pay attention, and to honor those little things that arise, that guide us on our way. I'm still a long way from home, but because my failures have been so big and my successes so deeply appreciated, and because I'm a writer trying to seek through the eyes and ears of the soul, I can see what it has taken me to commit to love, and more importantly, what it has given me. I now know that the hard things that occur in my life and all around me are not obstacles to love. They are precisely the path. When we aspire to love, we are invited every day to peel back the layers of protection around our heart and trust life and love to teach us how to live it moment by moment. Love was there with me through all the trials of my life. It was also there guiding me to create a healing center for kids who've had someone they love die. Today, that program is 25 years old and has made an incredible difference in the way people, children, and adults grieve in this community. Love was there when I found myself in the heart of grief again after a divorce, my second one. Love guided me to my 16-year career in philanthropy, which is where I learned about the power of generosity and its relationship to grief and love. And love was there showing me that love is so much more than a special affection for one person or one family, but for the family of humankind in everything that lives and breathes. And love was there showing me that it cannot be reserved for those who agree with us, or even just the underserved whose lives we're advocating for. In the quiet of our meditations, we must hold in our heart the ones we disagree with, the ones we fear, even the perpetrators. I had a dream last year on my father's birthday, which is why I remember that date. This story is in my manuscript, so I'm going to read it to you as I would at any book signing. Quote, "In the dream, I'm watching a fast-moving film of a little boy playing with his father at age 2. then 3, then 6, 7, 8, 9. Love is everywhere in their sweet exchanges, seen in quick highlights as though I'm privy to his life review. He is still a child when his dad dies. He's bewildered, confused, lost, angry, hurt, hurt, hurt. Then taunted and bullied. He is abused by those who should be protecting him. It's relentless. My heart breaks to pieces and I want to care for him. I need to protect him. I care for him really in my heart. I'm feeling it in this dream. Suddenly, a split screen appears and I'm distracted by another life review, and this time it's mine, with random highlights from 6 decades moving very fast. The places I've lived, the people I've loved, the losses, the joys, my careers, everything shows up on my screen, alongside the screen of this little boy. When an image of my childhood best friend Susan comes into view, I know with a thud deep in my gut that I've been witnessing the life review of the little boy who became the man who took her life. From his side of the split screen, this man whose face is now lined with wrinkles turns to look at me, and somehow it's clear he has seen the same life reviews as me. Knowing who he is, I would think my mind would have filled with fury, my nervous system raced with anxiety, my hands turned to fists. But here's the thing. This unlikely and hard to believe transformation is taking place in the dream world, where we are not limited by the restrictions that bind us in our awake time. In the dream, I can't undo the compassion I felt for him as a child. I can't take back my desire to protect him. I can't unsee what I saw of the love in this little boy. I was given a glimpse of what is possible despite its improbability. Even when I can't fathom the idea of this scenario as anything more than a dream, I can feel the freedom my deeper self possesses. That feeling, which I will never forget, moves me just a tiny bit closer to living from a more expansive place. In split-second dream time, my compassion and my fear are not in conflict. I don't need to square them up, fit them into a neat little package that says one thing or its opposite, and the same is true for him. We're both sobbing, our eyes saturated with the layers of complexity in each role we've played in this lifetime and what we've learned from them. The pain and understanding of the places where we've both loved and where we've both hurt others is almost too much to take in. The probability of seeing such a comprehensive and intermingled view of our lives, too impossible to believe, but yet, here it is. In my dream, we embrace each other as we're weeping. Now, lest this seem like a Hollywood movie with some improbable transcendent ending, let me tell you what happened next. I had the life review dream on September 25th, and I literally could not tell anyone. I couldn't even write about it in my journal. But I woke up on the morning of November 12th, almost 2 months later, and just knew it was time to write. And so I began. At the end of the second day of writing, I was tired. It was nighttime, and I'd planned to go to a movie and change the scenery in my head. I made dinner first and flipped on the TV, thinking that I would catch up on election news. However, as it turned out, a terrorist attack in Paris dominated the airwaves. I was in horror as I listened to the unfolding story of murder on a mass scale on this day, the same day I'd been weaving mercy into a story of murder on a scale of 1. That evening, I was swept into the drama, and my ability to humanize, even in the smallest way, people who kill was instantly, sorely tested. End quote. It was horrible and hard, and I wondered who the hell I thought I was, some kind of saint. My resolve had dissolved after one night in my living room, watching TV, no less. But since then, as Reverend Ron said in his reflection a couple of weeks ago, this has been the summer of violence. And I've had a lot of opportunities to see what love is teaching me. We've had mass murders in Orlando and Minneapolis and Texas, and every time I hear another story, I'm shocked and I hurt, and my heart goes out to all the families and friends who died, whose lives will never be the same. I know their pain. But now when I hear the first inklings of the story of the perpetrators, alongside my anger at them and my fury and my repulsion and my desire to retaliate, alongside that, my mind goes to the birthing room where they were delivered into the world. A room where blood has a very different reading. I see their mothers holding them, the grandmothers nearby, the brothers and sisters, all little children. My mind goes to the fathers whose soft spot has been tenderized by this miracle of birth. My mind imagines light emanating from their little infant bodies, still partially in the spirit world, and I see love. This is not something I dreamed up as an exercise or a practice. Love gave that gift to me. And now I think it's a kindness I can give. And I think that this is the only thing that's really going to save us. Thank you very much. Aspire to love.